All right, Andrea, happy 2019. How excited are you
Yay!
for the next year
Yeah.
ahead?
I love it when it's the next year, but I'm not a fan of New Year's Eve. There's so much pressure to do something, and I don't. I end up sitting at home with my cats, watching that ball fall in New York, and yeah,
Yeah, my
I
family,
just
we're from Spain, so we do it at 6 o'clock, and we watch the Spanish stuff at 6 o'clock, and that's we eat grapes. If anyone has knows how it works in Spain, we eat grapes. So every like the gong for every like ding dong at midnight, like dong dong dong, like you get like from the clock, you eat a grape. So you put like a
really.
grape. Yeah, that's the tradition. So you put a grape in your mouth, like for every gong dong from the clock that strikes midnight.
And how far apart are the gongs? Like, are you
Like
madly stuffing grapes in your
yes,
mouth?
you're like that's a tradition, and it's
I had no
hysterical. Oh
idea.
yeah,
That's
like
really neat.
everyone's like in a plaza in Madrid, and they eat grapes and champagne, and that's a tradition, and it's awesome, and it's fun because it's something that you can do at home. Everyone does at home, like even from like unless you're allergic to grapes, then like I don't know what, but it's
What about
hysterical.
wine? Wine is like grapes. Does wine count?
No, no, you have to eat grapes. Like it's like 12 grapes in your mouth. Like you know how like try it at home, and it's like bong, 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 and everyone's like trying to eat it. And then it's like boop, like champagne pops, and that's what you do. So if you're European, you can do it in North America at 6 p.m. And then you're done.
You
Then
know
you
what?
can
I
go to
love
bed.
traditions. Traditions are so cool. But Patricia, I want to ask you, do you think tradition has a place in marketing?
I yes, it's funny because like as much as we innovate, as much as marketing is looking forward, I visited the Design Museum in London, which is awesome. If you guys are ever in London and you love marketing and you love creative stuff, go see the Design Museum. It's really eye opening, and the exhibits are great. And so it's funny because you go back in time and you look at brands that have really embraced design in their, or whether it's in their marketing or it's in the actual product, and you see how 1950s ads or 1950s marketing, like the principles of marketing are don't change. It's know your target, talk to the target market, and stand out. And I feel that now, especially with digital marketing, we think about data a lot. We think about platforms a lot, and we don't think enough of like the principles of creating like who's my client and how do I stand out? How do I make a product that is unique and it's interesting and there's a story? So you see stuff like Olivetti typewriters. It's not a good example because they're probably out of business right now, but it's super interesting to see what they did, and even Volkswagen and Apple and the evolution, and Sony, how they evolved and how much they integrated design. So I think tradition, very often people want to rebrand and go forward and do that kind of thing, but look back at the ads, like they're not like there was really bad advertising as well. But it's interesting if you go back, there's some ads that could run today and would be still current. And even logos, like I see a lot of people rebrand and rethink, and I was thinking, like we were thinking of that this year. Should we rebrand? Should we do this? And like our logo that we designed, like we designed an EcoGold logo probably 20 years ago or 15 years ago. It's still the same one. And you look at it and it's still fresh. It's still good. The Heels Down magazine website that we've had the same website for 4 years. So I think that it means that we did it right. Because if it's something that lasts and you look at it and it doesn't look dated, it doesn't look, past due, it really, that's what marketing is. Like, make a lasting product, and you can tweak it, but like it's okay to innovate. But I think that too much of change, it, like, tradition is also an important element. If you're changing too much, if you're going too much, maybe you're not doing things that have good roots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's the beginning of the year. There's probably some businesses out there that have been thinking about the rebranding. For me, and listening to you talk about the design museum, and I think we've all heard this a million times, that simplicity is a part of having your design stand the test of time. Mm-hmm. So if someone was going to come to you and say, I want to rebrand, what's the first thing that you're going to tell them? Like the first big tip?
Well, the first thing I'd ask, why? Why? Because I think if you rebrand, is because you're grown. Like, I'm totally fine with rebranding. But there has to be a good reason for it. So if there's a disconnect right now with the brand that you have and the market that you're serving, for example, I mean, that happens. Or if you find it's really outdated, you have to have a good reason. Is it just for novelty, or is there a deep-rooted reason? Because sometimes you rebrand, but you're not going to have more success with the new brand because you didn't solve the issues that were at the base of the non-success of the old
brand.
So it's not a logo problem. Maybe it's a business problem. So let's solve the business problem first and see what your goals are, where you want to go, and then either, like, maybe yes, the rebrand is a good strategy, or no. Like, you'll have two answers. But I think people jump into the solution or the conclusion, thinking that that's going to solve the steps. But I think like the kind of programs that we do, you and I, it goes to the root and finding what your brand DNA, finding where you want to go. And then from there, then you stem into the different solutions, like whatever those are. Getting a little bit deeper on marketing. Like, it's not just a question of going to a graphic designer and go, okay, I want to rebrand. Like, let's make it yellow. Because you're not going to necessarily solve the issue. And also, I think that we don't think of it, but as a business owner, there's a huge cost of getting people to know your logo or getting people to know your brand. And then when you change, you break that familiarity. You break that. So it's better to do it right and then tweak. And if you rebrand, like, it's almost like the last resort. When then there's a disconnect, it doesn't work, like, your website is really outdated, the logo's outdated, it doesn't work, then you rebrand. But if you look at the successful companies like Apple and look at their logo, there's been a change. But even since I was looking at their logo with the Apple, and probably like since 1995, they almost went back to the 1995 logo, like the one they have now. So it's really interesting. Like, it's very subtle. McDonald's, they've had the same. So look at really successful brands, and they don't change that often. And it's subtle. Usually they don't have.
I think they may not change their logo, but I think there's other stuff that is involved with the brand on the peripheral that changes over time.
For
sure. McDonald's, they had all those people like Hamburglar, right? And Ronald McDonald. I mean, we still see Ronald McDonald, but we don't have Hamburglar and all the other guys that went along with them. And sort of the brand has certainly evolved based on what the market wants and where they're trying to reach, right? But you're right. The core of their brand, they haven't changed their colors. They still have the M. It may be a bit more modern than it was 25 years ago, but yeah.
They've been very,
cores.
very careful. They've been
Yeah.
carefully, like, like tweaking things. And I think that's what we have to learn a bit more. Because when you're an entrepreneur and you have a small business, you can do anything. And we tend to, okay, I'm tired of this. But the clients, maybe they're not tired. And then you give them something, a novelty that you're going to get online, like, hey, oh, this is awesome for 20 seconds. But then once they see it, is it a big difference? Is it a sustainable thing? And the other thing I want to talk to you about is, did you see what Instagram did?
No, I've been living under a rock apparently. So
right.
Tell me.
So Instagram, at some point, I don't know if it was like December 26th or the 27th, but for a few hours or I don't know if it was minutes or what, but I went on Instagram and almost at Christmas time, I didn't touch at all my social media. I was really on vacation with my family. I go on Instagram and they have changed the scrolling. They go, okay, now there's this different scrolling system. You don't scroll up to go to your news feed. You tap or scroll, like swipe left to right, like pages of a book. So you couldn't scroll up. You couldn't scroll up. You could only go sideways. Do you understand?
And this was just for a few minutes?
Well, they say, like, and then they put it back. When I saw it, I went, oh my gosh, like this is like ruin for every company, because like when you swipe up, you will swipe up much more than if you have to go like this. It's a much, you get tired left to right much easier, much faster than swiping up. Swiping up, you can see like 20 photos. I'm like, if people have to go like this, like after 6 photos, they're going to get tired. Mm-hmm. And so if you're a brand...
Well, it's like the dating apps, right?
Exactly. But then every third photo was a commercial, was an ad.
What?
It was just terrible. And then I'm like, okay, like disaster. They have just ruined Instagram forever, and especially for brands, because they're not going to swipe to the like 20th photo. Whereas if you swipe up, yes, you're going to go like maybe 20 photos or 10 photos. I don't know what the rate of how much people see, but I'm like, they're going to even see less of your content. But then they put it back. It lasted like a few minutes or an hour or so.
And did they talk about this at all?
Yes, they said it was something that, like a glitch or like a test that went, but it went to everybody. It was something they were testing, but they went back. I guess that, I don't know if it's if it was really a test that they were testing, or if it's something they said, well, let's try it and see what people think. And everyone was freaking out. So, because I think that sometimes people freak out when they change something in the newsfeed that is really not that important, but they just freak out because something has changed. But in this case, I believe that it was really, it would have been terrible, terrible, terrible for brands had they gone to this system, because people would not have looked at as many images. Because I didn't myself, I said, this is not user-friendly.
Well, I think Instagram's at the point where if it's terrible for brands, it's terrible for Instagram. Don't you think?
And for people.
It goes back to that target market, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And I guess like they probably thought, okay, well then like get ads. But I think to me, and I believe that I wrote an article about marketing trends 2019, and I said to people, let's like don't over rely too much on Instagram, because for sure they're going to mess with it, because Facebook is pretty much already, I don't think they can mess it up more. So next they're going to go after Instagram and trying to extract some money from brands there. So I think that if you rely, and it was interesting that I wrote it and it got a good amount of response, and a lot of people shared that post, and they said, yes, like, I'm going to try and make strides on other platforms, or try and do things a little bit more like differently.
It'd be interesting to I'd be interested to know what Instagram's next move for offering more opportunities to brands would be. That's something that I'm curious about this year. I don't have any predictions, but I'm certainly interested to see where that goes. So
I don't know. Because I don't know if they've maximized, if they're maxed out the amount of attention that they get. I mean, like, how much more time can you spend on Instagram? I don't know. Like, I'm not a predictor, but I think like most people are already there. They already use it. I don't know how.
Well, then it'd be kind, for advertisers who are running ads on Facebook business, which of course is where you run your ads for Instagram. It would, as the market gets tighter and tighter, the cost for those ads goes up and
exactly.
up.
I think it's going to be like it was like the easy gravy train, and now it's going to get not so easy and more costly, I think, for brands. So having a better approach, having a wider spectrum of ways that you can reach your clients is important, and not just putting all your eggs in that basket.
Yes.
And especially a lot of equestrian brands, fashion brands, they're very, very Instagram heavy. And I think Instagram is still going to be important, but it's not going to be as profitable. So then when you get that hit, because that's what we saw for Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. So then are you ready? And most people are not.
No, and I mean, the Facebook Business Manager and the advertising platform within Facebook is very complex. It's not, it's not a simple system, and for small business, I think can be really challenging to create ads, and they keep rolling out new options within Facebook Business that becomes more stuff that you need to learn and to figure out in order to run your ad, in order for your ad to be effective. I mean, it's a two-way. I mean, it's cool. It's cool that they're offering all these, innovative ways to advertise. But on the other side, it's also there's some burden there for small businesses to, figure it out.
I think a lot of people think that, and we go back to the first tradition aspect. I believe there's been almost a hijacking of this industry by the techno people that, if you put more ads, if you boost posts on Instagram, and not enough. And it's important to understand the data and the analytics and all that stuff. But I think at the base, if you don't have a brand that connects with people, if you don't have a creative aspect that stands out, you can put all the ads that you want on Facebook, and you can put all the ads that you want on Instagram. But if at the root, people don't care about your product because you don't have a creative plan or that is interesting, or, if the product is not interesting and it's just a Me Too product, I don't think you can just advertise your way to success. And Facebook advertise, and
you mean Facebook advertise?
Yeah, Facebook advertise, and you're gonna spend, even if it's less expensive than other means or something like that. It's not gonna be a data solution. It's not gonna be a platform solution. You need to find something that people get excited about. They tell their friends in an organic way, and then you boost that with advertising. Apple makes a lot of ads, and they spend a lot of money in ads, but they product design, very important, and then very creative ads, really strong message. They know who their market is, and right now they're having issues, but I think it's a lasting brand. So that's what you want to create. You can't just go, okay, because when I went to Europe, I went to the Olympia Horse Show. I walked by the trade fair, and you wouldn't believe how many clothing companies there are that I had never heard of. And they're all young, cool breeches that you can wear for yoga and leggings and that sort of thing. And I'm like, there's 25,000. How are you going to stand out? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have like a big marketing budget, like you better be very creative and making sure that like people care about your brand. And that means like the client, like why should they get excited about this? Like there's 25 other brands that basically sell the same stuff.
Yeah.
Why are you unique? Do you people need you? And that's I find that you can't, it's not just about your Facebook ads or where you put the stuff. It's really about everything else. Mm-hmm. And look at those old school brands. Sometimes it gives you better ideas than the new ones.
Yeah. Awesome. Great advice.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Andrea. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.